The previous basket is under review.
Hello and welcome to Weekend Under Review, the newest show of the Basket Under Review website network. We're very excited to bring this show to you. I'm Brian Rauf. That is Matthew Winick. Again, this show is Weekend Under Review. The idea is that we're going to be talking to you every Monday and Friday throughout the entirety of the college basketball season, going over what happened over the weekend, figuring out what matters, and looking at the week ahead. And then on Fridays, we're going to look back at the week that was, preview the weekend ahead. The idea is to parse through all these games and Matthew, really figure out what matters to college basketball for the rest of the season and try and help make everybody a little bit smarter, hopefully ourselves included in that. But Matthew, I'm excited to get this started.
Now, listen, we got a lot of eyes on games and we got a lot of thoughts to share. So this is really the vessel to go and do that. And we're going to be able to, explain what we see, what we want to see from teams, from players, from leagues, whatever it may be. And this is the platform to do it. So I'm really, looking forward to bouncing ideas off of each other. And hopefully, our listeners, our viewers are able to, retain some information and get something out of it.
Again, this will be on the Basket Under Review YouTube page every Monday and Friday throughout the entirety of the college basketball season. So make sure you like and subscribe, do everything there on YouTube, but also go subscribe to Trilly Donovan's Discord. Like, this is a phenomenal community of college basketball fans that he has created. It also gives you access to everything Basket Under Review related, all of our premium content on the websites, some premium breakdowns. I know some of the scout team videos that Eric Fawcett and Kim Sweeney do are paywalled as well. And those are, I think, some of the smartest, two of the smartest guys and some of the smartest videos that you will find anywhere on the internet when it comes to college basketball. So please subscribe to the Discord, subscribe to the YouTube page. We've got a lot going on here at Basket Under Review. Less than a month out from the season. I'm itching for like actual basketball to talk about, which is very, very exciting. It's one of the things we're going to talk about today because the season doesn't start until November 3rd, Matthew. But we got all the secret scrimmages / preseason exhibitions / whatever you want to call it. Not really secrets if you're on the official schedule.
Not secrets, no.
On the team websites. But those get going here in about a week. And so we're very excited to start bringing some of those to you. That's what a lot of the content before the season is going to be, is us looking at some of these preseason scrimmages and exhibitions and trying to figure out what's real and what's not. Like if Louisville loses to a D2 team, or Tennessee's new transfer goes off against Michigan State, the way Dalton connected a couple of years ago, and the way Louisville did under Kenny Payne year one. That may matter, and you may want to know that matters more so than a team who has a surprising loss, but it's because they're trying out a bunch of different things. So that's the idea of our preseason content. But today, Matthew, we've identified 8 teams that we are really interested in seeing this preseason for a number of different reasons. Maybe it's new stars, new coach, new roster. There's 8 that we've highlighted. The first one we're going to talk about is Virginia.
Yeah.
Obviously, new head coach, Ryan Odom, virtually an entirely new team on that roster as well, a whole different style of play. They have 2 exhibition games this preseason, both of which are pretty high profile.
Yeah.
On October 16th, they're going and playing Vanderbilt in Nashville. And then a little over a week later, October 24th, they're hosting Villanova before they get started against Rider on November 3rd. So 2 pretty big games for a team that a lot of people, I think ourselves included, are pretty high on this season. So what are you looking for from Virginia during this 2-game preseason stretch?
Yeah, they were only willing to play teams with a school that started with a V. That was their rule. It's like, we're Virginia, we've got to play V schools. So that's they got Nova and Vandy on the schedule. But listen, not only is it a new system with Ryan Odom coming over, but they're doing something that's basically been unheard of in college basketball, which is they're going to start 2 European players, but not 18-year-old raw dudes. Like, I mean, we just, the scout talk about scout team, Sweeney and Eric Fawcett just talked about both their guys, DeRitter and Grunlow, in their most recent episode of International Guys. And like, especially Tice DeRitter, he might be like the most ready European prospect to ever come to college basketball. So being able to actually see it, because there was the whole UCLA debacle a couple of years ago with Berke Biyuktanshel and Jan Vide and Adai Mara, who none of whom were ready, but they were all, 18-year-old teenagers. So it's going to be fascinating not only to see Ryan Odom's system, but even if it's preseason, how do the Euro guys look on the floor against real Power 5 competition.
They're experienced pros, basically in the middle.
Yeah.
But he's surrounded them with experienced college players too. Yeah. Like you look at the projected starting guard, John Hall coming from BYU. He's a grad, super senior, however you want to classify people with extra COVID eligibility. He's a grad. Kari White from North Dakota State is in his final year. Malik Thomas coming from San Francisco is in his final year. All these guys have played and started high-level college basketball for multiple seasons.
Yeah.
This is not like a new coach with a new team that you're trying to break. You're still trying to break in pieces, but you're not trying to teach them college basketball.
No.
Right? They're going to start with a bit of the head start over some other teams that are relying on younger players looking for more opportunity. It's how quickly Ryan Oda can get this group to come together and build a little bit of chemistry. Right? And Baylor, I think, are two teams that you're going to get a good baseline for where you're at going into the season.
Yeah. I mean, some of the teams we're going to talk about, it's like new system, new coach. Like, we're not worried about Ryan Odom, right? Like, Ryan Odom coached a VCU team that was way better than Virginia was previously. And like the A10 is practically the ACC with the way that they performed the last couple of years. So out of all of like the new coaches, I think I'm least worried about Ryan Odom. Like, he's going to be fine, but it's all about the players on that roster and how they're fitting together and the unique style that Virginia's chosen in their roster building construction.
So what, in your mind, what'll make this preseason a success for Virginia that'll give you more confidence going into the regular season?
Yeah, like, to me, it's the Euro guys, because like you mentioned, most of the D1 proven guys, like even Devin Tillis is another guy who's like in his 5th or 6th year of college basketball. Like, you know what you're getting from a lot of these guys. Jakari White dominated the couple of P5 teams he played last year. He went into Hinkle Fieldhouse and just destroyed Butler. So he'll be fine, but it's just how like a really good Virginia team this season, those guys can't be your best players. Like, the European guys have to be the Ritter has to be their best player, him and Malik Thomas, because Dallin Hall is like a role player, a pass first guy, and Jakari White's like a shooter and a spacer, and so is Sam Lewis and Devin Tillis. So if the Euro guys are their best players, if they're their go-to guys, then if Grunlow is their best defensive option, is like a real rim protector at the 5, then you're starting to get excited about what Virginia might be doing.
I'm with you. I want to see the big guys. I want to see the interaction there and how they adjust, because even though they're experienced pros overseas, the college game is a little bit different. Now, we saw guys last year perform incredibly well, really improve their draft stock, and be one and done guys in college. We'll see if that's the case at Virginia's front court. If it is, I think we're going to be pretty high on the Wahoos. The next team we're going to talk about is North Carolina. We're going to stay in the ACC. Perhaps the most intriguing team in the country going into the season for everything surrounding Hubert Davis's job status and job security as UNC's head coach versus the amount of money that they've reportedly paid on this roster, around $14 million, to just some of the intriguing pieces. Like, I think this is a roster that I look at and I'm pretty excited about on paper.
Yeah.
The only reason you dock them is the uncertainty around coaching staff and the fact that it's a lot of new transfers and incoming freshmen who have not played together. So there's a lot of uncertainty, but everything goes according to plan on paper. I think this could be a pretty good team. We'll see them twice in the preseason, not until October 24th. It's going to be a Friday night game against BYU, the Delta Center, Salt Lake City. That's going to be a good one. Going to be a good one. A couple days later, October 29th, they will play host to Winston-Salem State before they start on November 3rd. So maybe BYU will be the only chance we get to really find something about this Tar Heels team. What are you hoping to find out?
Well, I mean, BYU, in a way, is not even the best opponent they could have, because you want someone that will pressure the ball a little bit, because their big question is, do they have a point guard? Like, Kyan Evans was the de facto point guard on an awesome Colorado State team last year, but really Neat Clifford drove that offense. He was the guy with the ball in his hands. He was the one that was initiating pick and roll the most. And then you don't really have another point guard in this roster. Like, Seth Trimble was fully off ball next to RJ Davis and Elliot Cadeau in his last 2 years at North Carolina. So is he a point guard? Because he hasn't shown it. Like, Luka Bogovac, who's coming over from Europe, is, some say he's a shooter, some say he's a point guard. Is he going to be on ball role? Caleb Wilson is someone who can handle a little bit at the 4. But for me, it's all about, yes, Hubert Davis is one, but do they have a ball handler, someone who is going to, initiate offense like Elliot Cadeau did, maybe a little bit of a better shooter and scorer, but that's the big question for me. And, if BYU is looking to change their defense a little bit from last year where, they were really laid back and allowing 3 after 3, which knocked them out of the NCAA tournament against Alabama, but they're still not going to pressure the ball a whole ton. So you're not really going to learn that much about the ball handling of North Carolina. So that might have to be an end season thing.
Yeah, you mentioned Bogovic. I think he's a real key for me. Caleb Wilson's also a big key for me because you are kind of betting on both those guys being top 3, top 4 scores for you. Right? Like Caleb Wilson comes in with the 5-star pedigree. You're hoping he can be a star, but you're hopeful he can at least be productive, right? That's kind of the floor. Bogovic, people have raved about him, both overseas since he's been in Chapel Hill, about his style of play, his level of play. If he takes over, I think maybe it lessens some of the point guard burden, which is certainly there. Also, if Caleb Wilson's a top 5 NBA draft pick,
they'll find
can help that burden too, right? He's part of that revamp from Corbin Henry Vasar coming over from Arizona as well. It'll be a lot of fun to see there. There's some minor pieces too, like how do they use Jonathan Powell, transfer from West Virginia? How do they use Jared Stevenson, right? Are you going to try the 3 again? You're going to use him in the front court rotation? How that go? Yeah, I do not want him at the 3. I do not want him at the 3.
No. Yeah, I mean, he's the X factor for me, right? Because I trust Henry Visar. He had an awesome season at Arizona and in a really, good Big 12. So he'll be fine. But if they can get some production out of Stevenson, then they'll be golden. So that'll be interesting to see what type of role he plays also in that exhibition game.
Maybe the second most intriguing team now behind UNC is Auburn.
Yeah.
Given the coaching change. Stephen Pearl stepping in to the head role there after Bruce's retirement. I think we all feel pretty good about the roster, at least the starting 5 with Auburn. But there are questions about Todd Pettiford's the only guy back. They're throwing 4 other transfers into the starting lineup, and the bench is like freshman and JUCO guys. Let's hope it works. Yeah. So we'll see. At least for me, that's the intrigue of the preseason for them. Style of play is going to stay the same. I'm not expecting a huge change in the way they play from Bruce to Steven. Steven was the defensive coordinator for all intents and purposes the last couple of years under Bruce. That's not going to change. The players on the court are, though. October 15th against Oklahoma State. Auburn's playing that in Birmingham. And then in Atlanta, they're playing Memphis on October 30th before going back to Auburn, hosting Bethune-Cookman in the official opener on November 3rd. So Oklahoma State and Memphis, again, 2 quality teams. I think we'll give Auburn something of a test. I think we will learn something about Auburn after these games. What do you think that may be, or what are you hoping to learn in those games?
Yeah, see, this is the schedule that I think everyone should play in the exhibition because those are 2 teams that will dial up the pressure, and you're going to learn a lot about the guys you have and who can handle the basketball, which in my opinion is the most important thing you want to figure out early in the year. Like Oklahoma State is going to pressure the basketball. So we're going to learn if Todd Pettiford is ready to be a full-time point guard after, being on and off the ball last year. But like you talked about it, there's 4 players on this roster that played Division I basketball last year. And then the coach has never coached Division I basketball as a head man before. So there's really very little proof that this is going to work as a team. And obviously you're not going to get a ton of proof when you're playing exhibition games, but against 2 teams that are going to dial up the pressure, maybe not the best offensive squads in the country. So, Stephen Pearl as a defensive coordinator might not fully be tested, but the offense is going to be key. Like if they can't space the floor, if they can't get the non-D1 guys, ready to go early, then it might be a tough non-conference against real competition as they sort of get up to speed with how to play or how to coach D1 hoops.
This team, I think, of the teams ranked in, let's say, the top 20 or expect to be ranked in the top 20 in the preseason, has the widest variance for that reason, right? Because there's proof of concept of this Auburn system being good. Yeah. If Steven can run it out of the head job as close to as well as Bruce did, which I don't think is too big of a leap given the role he already had, I think that's fine. And there is talent on this roster. But as you mentioned, 4 played D1 basketball last year, and only one of them was at Auburn, and he wasn't playing a position he's currently playing now or being asked to do the same things he's going to be asked to do now. I love Todd Pettiford. I think he's great. Is he a better bench gunner than starting point guard?
We'll see.
We'll see. I think that's actually pretty likely. But can he be effective enough as a starting point guard? Can he do other things to offset maybe some of the defensive issues that may come with him at the one. We'll find out. It'll be interesting to see.
We'll find out too. The pressure against him defensively, which is key.
That pressure is going to test the depth,
too,
right? Because you're going to have to go through a bunch of guys to keep guys fresh. You don't want to have your team worn down in the exhibition season, right? So you're gonna go through this bench, and I think more than anything else, who are 2, 3, 4 guys I know I can rely on if I'm Stephen Pearl to come off the bench and produce? Are some of those 4 stars ready?
Yeah.
Some of the JUCO guys, some of the international guys ready? Like, who are those guys that I can trust to throw out there? Like, okay, we need a bucket in this 4-minute stretch. Like, can you get me one?
It can't be just Todd Pettiford. There's got to be, even on, like, is Keyshawn Hall the second guy? And if so, is he going to stay on the floor? Is he going to, be there mentally, which has been a problem for him throughout his career, now on his 4th school in I believe 4 or 5 years. So it'll be an interesting test, and he's going to have to be awesome.
He will. Iowa State is the next team on our list. I'm very intrigued about Iowa State this season because I was very intrigued about Iowa State last season. That was supposed to be the break from like the Otzelberger defense only tenure, right? You had Keyshawn Gilbert, you had Curtis Jones, you had a number of guys who you knew were going to fill it up. And that thought had always been early on in Otzelberger's tenure, like, oh, this defense is incredible. If they had any scoring, they could make a run. Well, last year they had the scoring, and injuries derailed them late in the season, but they didn't make that run. Yeah. This year, they're revamping into being more of your traditional Otzelberger team at Iowa State. The offensive explosion does not appear to be there, but Tamin Lipsey is 100% healthy, allegedly. Is there another step for Milan Momcilovic? Is there another step for Joshua Jefferson in your 2 of this system, right? And then there's depth questions there. I think we've gotten so used to penciling in Iowa State as like 3rd or 4th in the Big 12, which they could very well finish again. I don't know if they're going to challenge Houston, but I think there's a chance they are number 2. I also think there's a chance they fall back to the middle of the Big 12 and it's a bit of a reset. I want to see how those pieces look this exhibition season, which will start on October 17th. It's Creighton. They play Northwestern on October 26th. So again, 2 different styles, Creighton and Northwestern, but quality teams to test yourself against. What are you looking for from this?
And those are 2 good offenses, right? Because we're talking about Iowa State's defense. Like, obviously, they went a little more offense heavy last year. It was the first time in Otzelberger's 4 years they weren't a top 10 KenPom defense. They were 1, 5, and 8 in their 3 years, right? So now they were 13 last year. Are they going to be at that level, especially if Tamin Lipsey isn't healthy to start the year? Who's playing that point of attack defense? Is Milan Momcilovic at the 3, a viable defensive path? And then is Blake Buchanan, the Virginia transfer, quite frankly, all that good? Like, he was not very good last year on a bad Virginia team. Obviously, you change the role, but then you think about Iowa State and their defense and how Robert Jones, at the 5 was such a big part of their hedging, switching scheme because he was super, athletic for someone at his size. Then you go last year with Deshaun Jackson, who couldn't move as well. They couldn't play as high to up and ball screens. So they weren't able to be as switchy and as aggressive as they used to be. And I don't think they have that again this year. Not to mention, they don't really have, a 2 guard. Nate Heisey's more of an off-ball 3. Everyone else they have is a freshman. So, or Dominic Nelson from Utah Valley, who can't shoot 3s. So there's a lot of questions in the backcourt. There's a lot of questions at the 5 in terms of how they play defensively. So playing 2, efficient offenses in Northwestern and Creighton is really going to test them.
Yeah, we're going to find out. One of my favorite stats, I did an article on Iowa State for Basket Review. Make sure you go check that out. Last year, the most efficient or the most productive 3-man duo, 3-man lineups per Evan Mia was Houston's. JoJo Tugler, Emmanuel Sharp, Milo Zuzan, in terms of guys who were returning this year. 3-man lineups of guys who were returning this year. That was number 1. Number 2 was Milan Momcilovic, Joshua Jefferson, Nate Heisey at Iowa State.
Not Lipsey.
Not Lipsey. On paper, that's a really good offensive group. I don't know how that works defensively unless you get really good play from the 5 and you get Lipsey being Lipsey defensively.
But also, that lineup works because you have either Jones or Gilbert who are initiating offense, and then those are more off-ball guys and complementary guys. So who's initiating offense? Correct.
It'll be interesting to see for sure. We're going to stay in the Big 12, talk about Baylor, who's another team that we have traditionally just penciled in to the upper echelon of the conference. Has not been the case the last couple of years, and had to get a whole new roster this year. Whole new roster. I know they've played some together this summer, but exhibition games against Grand Canyon on Friday, exhibition game against Indiana on October 26th. We're going to learn a lot about just what to expect from them. On paper, I don't think this is like your traditional Baylor quality team, but I'm not going to doubt Baylor.
Well, listen, here's the thing. Baylor's had, high-level prospects, whether it's BJ Edgecombe or going back a couple of years with their backcourt that led them all the way to the national championship. Like, they don't have that this year. Their only Division I power conference transfer coming in is Dan Skillings at Cincinnati, who, quite frankly, did not have a good season on a team that very much underperformed. Everyone else is coming from a mid-major league. Even if I really like Obi Agben, who's their, starting point guard coming in from Wyoming, that's still the Mountain West, and even though that's an excellent league, it's still not P5 size. It's still not P5 athleticism. And is this team going to be able to scale up? Michael Ratai was awesome at Oregon State, but is he going to be able to scale up? There's all these questions about playing high major in a very physical, strong, athletic league in the Big 12. If this team is good, they're able to translate. If this team underperforms, it's because that athleticism and that length, where they're not the biggest team across the board, really comes in and becomes an issue.
We put a lot of faith in Scott Drew.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, given what he has built this Baylor program into. And, they won a national championship in 2021. Since then, every one of his rosters has had a lot more talent than this. And all of those rosters have underperformed.
Yeah.
If this roster underperforms again compared to the relatively mild expectations for Baylor, do we start wondering what the rest of Scott Drew's tenure at Baylor looks like, or how long it is, or if he goes somewhere else? That might be very premature, right? But the program has taken a step back since the team that won the national championship, the team that was knocking on the door for half a decade before that, right? So maybe a pass, because you weren't expecting to lose Rob Wright, but I also don't know how much of a difference Rob Wright makes in terms of your outlook for the season.
It's possible, but it also kind of outlines the fact that, the transfer situation at Baylor is not good right now, and they're getting lapped by teams in their league like BYU, who just have way more money to spend. And look at the roster at BYU, look at the roster at Baylor, the money plays a factor. But you're right, this might be the start of at least a question of what the future looks like for that program.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting that Scott Drew has lost it.
You're not hearing breaking news or anything super.
No. Now,
he's a good coach.
February. If we're talking February, maybe there's a different conversation. But we'll save that for February.
Yeah.
You mentioned money in the transfer portal. Will Wade used that at NC State to turn his NC State roster around pretty quickly. The headliner, obviously, Darion Williams, coming in from Texas Tech to be the face and the focal point of Will Wade's first year in Raleigh. They play South Carolina in their lone exhibition matchup on October 26th in Greensboro before hosting NC Central to start the season on November 3rd. So only one game, at least on the official schedule right now, for NC State. So that's what we'll go off of for these purposes. What are you looking to see from the Wolfpack in that first game?
I'm looking to see North Carolina, NC State allow fewer than 60 points. And I know that that's completely, subjective. Who really cares? But, South Carolina is not going to play a speedy game, even an exhibition, because they're going to want to play their slow Lamont Paris style. And NC State's going to, if they're going to be as good as I think they're going to be, which I think they could be a top 25 team easily this year, they're going to be best defensively with the ball hawks they have, in the backcourt, and then just Will Wade's style that he is going to bring from McNeese, where you're swarming the ball, where you're going to have extremely high turnover rate. If they're able to hold a slow, if they allow over 60 points to a slow-paced, quite frankly, not overly offensively skilled South Carolina team, then, maybe they're still working on some things. And I know coaches love to implement offense before they implement defense, but they have the chance to set a tone here, show that this is going to be a defensive-minded team, that they're going to be forcing turnovers, they're going to get it in transition, because the offense, might be a little bit iffy in the half court if they have to play a slower game. This is a way for them to show that they are going to be a defensive juggernaut this season.
South Carolina made the NCAA tournament 2 years ago by playing that style. And the reason it was successful was because it made all of their opponents have to execute in the details. right, have to do the details and be good at the details. When there is a new team with a new coach who is not used to playing together, the details may not always be there. I think we'll find out how far along this NC State team is. We can expect them to compete at the top of the ACC right away, or if it might take a month or two to kind of get up and going. I think that'll be interesting to see and what we'll find from this game.
I got my NC State other side. Dennis Smith Jr. jersey here. They could maybe use him in the backcourt to, deal with the details.
That would be good. I think that would be quality. Let's go back to the Big 12. Just want to talk about Arizona. We talked about Henry Visar transferring out, right, going to North Carolina, but front court still is out of question with Arizona, at least from a talent perspective. This has a chance to be the most talented team Arizona has had under Tommy Lloyd, with Braden Burries and Koa Pete in the starting lineup. We'll find out how good some of their Portland guys are. Bryce James, we're saying this for SEO purposes. Bryce James is on the team. LeBron James' son, Bryce James. Jaden Bradley playing point guard. I think there's a lot of intrigue with this team. They'll play St. Mary on October 18th. They'll play Embry-Riddle on October 27th.
Cool.
We're going to see some Bryce James in that game.
Yes, we are. But listen, the question with Arizona, and St. Mary's is an awesome opponent because they're going to slow them down and make them play a yucky, gross, boring game, which is what Arizona is going to struggle with, and they always have under Tommy Lloyd. But, for Arizona to be good, they have, the two elite American freshmen in Braden Burries and Koa Pete, who you mentioned, but they also have three really interesting Euro guys. They have to have at least 2 out of those 5 hit big, because they have very little in terms of returning production. Mo Krivas and Tobe Awaka, 2 of their 4 returners, they can't really play together because they're both non-shooting, unskilled 5s who are, only really good around the hoop. So there's going to need to be a lot of freshmen stepping up, whether they're from, this country or not. And in a game against St. Mary's where you're not going to be able to get what you want to do, it's going to be an test to sort of see, it's a litmus test, who is the freshman that's most ready to contribute now in big time games.
It's going to be a test for Jaden Bradley as well. He is somebody who, at least to me, has always thrived with the ball in his hands and been at his best with the ball in his hands. He just hasn't really had a chance to do so. His first year at Alabama, he was next to Brandon Miller. You're not going to be primary option there. Then 2 years at Arizona, you kind of had the backcourt logjam, and Caleb Love was there, and he needs his shots. He needs the ball in his hands too. So he's now taking over and is the unquestioned lead guard on this team. Right? You may question if Burries ends up being better than him or what have you, but he's the one who's going to run the show now as a senior. I think he can step into that and be a very good player. It wouldn't surprise me if he went from being this quality 6-man kind of type to an all Big 12 caliber performer, first team or second team. But I want to see that too, because he hasn't been in this position where he's been the relied upon lead guard 100% of the time. I want to see that too. Also with Mo Krivas and Tobe Awaka, for Arizona fans, we've heard way too much about Henry Visar this offseason, rightfully so, because Visar was great.
Yeah.
He was behind Awaka and Krivas when Krivas was healthy.
Yeah.
Right. So I think Arizona fans should feel okay with the front court. I think you should feel okay with Jaden Bradley. As you mentioned, it's the newcomers who's ready to contribute right away, who's ready to really, really hit and carry a big scoring load.
Mm-hmm.
The last team on our list that we want to talk about is Duke. Again, look very different than it was a year ago, which is what happens when you are as good as they were and you lose as many one-and-done freshmen.
Yeah.
2 games on the exhibition calendar for Duke. They're going to play UCF at Cameron Indoor on October 21st, and then go to Knoxville and play Tennessee on October 26th. So 2 exhibitions in that 5-6-8 window there for the Blue Devils. What are you looking for in the post-Cooper Flag era?
The key number with Duke this year is 10. That is how many returning Division I starts they have from last year. 3 from Isaiah Evans and 7 from Caleb Foster. That is it. Now, granted, the Boozer brothers are both, quote unquote, college ready. They're mature players for freshmen coming into college hoops. Patrick Gungba is expected to make a giant leap, and he looked awesome in their little scrimmage. That UCF game is going to look a lot like the exhibition game Duke had against Arizona State last year, where they won 103-47. You were like, oh, Duke's amazing and Arizona State sucks. And then that's exactly what happened. And with UCF, a team that is really not good, they're going to win by like 30, 40 points. If they don't, then I wouldn't be concerned. I mean, obviously 10 Division I starts last year, but that was the same deal last year with Cooper Flagg and Kaman Malawach and Kanye Nipple all coming into college hoops. Dame Sarr is an excellent international player. There's lots of guys increasing in role, but it's still projection after projection after projection, and there's nothing proven at this level on this roster. So it's going to be a lot of high upside, and in a game against UCF, which is not going to be a challenge, that you should be able to see that upside on display. But when you really have, a serious defensive, a serious team that's going to slow you down in transition, a game that's going to be played at a slow pace, who is that guy? And we might not learn that in the exhibition slate, but it's still going to be a question with this roster.
I think it's going to tell us a lot, that Tennessee game too, about how much we should trust the point guard situation at Duke. It's a question I had last year as well, because they didn't have a true point guard, and they didn't need one. Tyrese Proctor was good enough as a combo guard. Cooper Flagg was a great playmaker. They had a number of great playmakers on the roster that kind of offset it. You saw it be a factor in close games, though. Like the youth and the lack of like a true floor general cost them whenever they played a close game. Houston game. Had a point guard. I think they win.
Yeah.
I think they win. This year's team is in kind of a similar boat. Caden Boozer is probably going to start. Is he ready for high-end true point guard minutes at the level Duke expects to play at? He may very well be, right? He comes with pedigree. I know Cam is. I know Cam Boozer is, but he's not playing point guard for this team.
No.
Right? And if Caden Boozer is not ready, or if he struggles a little bit, can Caleb Foster, who was out of rotation for a majority of last season, step in and fill that starting void? Because that's kind of it. Those are kind of your options at point guard, right? So I want to see those two in particular against Tennessee, and the pressure Tennessee is going to put on them. There's no Sakai Ziegler for Tennessee, and that doesn't mean Tennessee's not going to have defense, and they're gonna pressure the ball in that game for sure.
UCF will not.
No, UCF will not. Yeah, something about having old Duke head coaches or Duke guys that are head coaches come back. Bobby Hurley, Arizona State last year, Johnny Dawkins, UCF. It's just, everybody in the family, everybody wants Duke to win. Even
I don't encourage any sort of lines or anything of point spread in any exhibition, but they will win by a lot of points on the floor.
Yes. Exhibition season gets started on Friday with that Baylor game. We will be here on Friday to talk about that and all the games that are over the weekend. We've had all off season to talk about what we think is going to happen. Exhibition season just gives us a little bit of a taste, but it's our first taste of actual basketball and what these teams are going to look like for the upcoming season. I know I'm excited about it. Matthew, I know you're excited about it too. It'll be nice to start previewing some games in depth on Friday.
Now listen, I'm excited, but I just want to give this caveat before we hop off. Do not put too much stock. Look at it. Look at some players, see roles, see how things might be going. Remember that the game doesn't matter. There are things you can take away, but it does not matter. Remember, just keep it in your brain. Doesn't matter. It's not what is most important, and coaches are going to tinker with stuff. It's about the small things. Do not look big picture at anything that happens in exhibition season.
Unless your team wins by 20, then you should put all your stock into it.
Mm-mm.
Put out a national championship ticket in. You're going to win the whole thing.
No stock, nothing.
No.
It's just preseason.
It's just preseason. It's just fun. But there are some things we can learn from these games. And that's where you and I come in, hopefully, to help everybody parse through what those things are, what matters for real basketball that gets going on November 3rd. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you on Friday here at Weekend Under Review.